mynews.studio.
Axemen, once just a barren stretch at the edge of China's Taklamakan Desert, is now covered in water, birds, and greenery. How did a so-called Sea of Death become full of life in just 5 years?
The date is January 15th, 2026. Let's set the scene before any of this change. For decades, Axemen in Xinjiang was harsh. Over 52,000 hectares turned to desert, with only about 4.5% covered by forest. Sandstorms were common, risking crops and even the headwaters of the Tarim River. Did people there ever really expect things could be different?
Honestly, most didn't. Take cotton farmers like Ahmadi Wusman. He talked about fighting sand and wind every single day. The land barely supported life. There were just scattered patches of green, shifting dunes, and that constant sense the desert was always pushing in.
But things started to change around 2020, right? Authorities launched a massive restoration project after years of groundwork. They brought in about 6,000 workers. What were the main techniques they rolled out?
Efficiency and resilience were at the center. They recycled city wastewater for irrigation, creating a closed-loop system. Drip irrigation came next. Black pipes laid directly on the dunes, delivering water straight to the roots. Then planting, drought-resistant trees like saxaul and poplar, plus jujubes and grasses, all seeded across the Gobi. Sand fixation engineering helped stabilize the ground, and they rebuilt wetland areas to store water.
That's a huge scale. Over 5 years, the target was 1.06 million mu, so roughly 70,000 hectares. By 2023, 240,000 mu had already been turned green. And forest coverage went from just 4.5% to 45%. Why was that so important?
It was crucial for stopping the desert from spreading. More forest meant weaker sandstorms. The ground started holding water instead of losing it. By mid-2025, Axemen had become a real wetland. Clear water, dense vegetation, migratory birds, and over 200 animal species. It worked as a natural buffer, protecting both farmland and the river.
And what about the people? How did local communities play a role in all this?
They were right at the heart of it. Around 6,000 locals joined the county teams. They planted trees, seeded grass, maintained irrigation systems. People like Yusuf John Allen did more than just install drip lines. They checked on plant health, fixed any problems. Over time, that hands-on work turned initial doubt into pride, especially as they saw the saxauls grow from tiny saplings to shoulder height.
What about the impact? Besides the environment, did things change for farmers and families?
Yes, definitely. Farmers saw less wind and sand damaging their fields, better cotton yields, and even new sources of income. There's now talk about a desert economy using sustainable tech and even ecotourism. The project brought jobs too, from planting to wetland upkeep.
But are these gains stable? What's stopping the desert from coming back?
Ongoing monitoring is essential. Workers like Yusuf John check plant health and irrigation every day. There's a layered monitoring system, part of China's national wetland projects under the 14th Five-Year Plan. And because the community is so involved, they have a real stake in keeping things green.
So, the Sea of Death has become a thriving wetland, thanks to local participation, new technology, and careful planning. Could this be a model for other desert regions?
That's the big question. Axemen's success builds on earlier projects, like the Kakea Oasis. Since desertification is a global issue, these methods, combining people and technology, might well be adapted elsewhere.
Axemen's story shows how quickly both landscapes and lives can shift when science, policy, and communities align. From dust to wetland, it's a transformation worth following.
Thanks for tuning in. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. Try it now. Free.